Hi, good evening, everyone, and good day to those of you who are in other parts of the globe. Welcome to the next session of Sahaja Online. I'm Shankar Ramani, your host and instructor today. I will be covering today's session, which is about achieving breakthroughs in our meditation. So, this session will be approximately for 45 minutes. Today's session, I'm going to focus on meditation, of course. We will have a session of meditation, which is important as it relates to the topic of presentation or discussion today. So in the meditation, we will be taking certain steps that are relevant to get this whole, I would say, a 3-week experiment started. So what we want to do is I have 3 sessions planned, including today, every Thursday for the next 3 weeks at the same time. The plan across these 3 sessions is to not just understand some of the steps that we can take to make a dramatic improvement, let's call it that way, or at least create those circumstances and a situation where that sort of a dramatic improvement is possible. But it's not just that, but it is also for us to actually follow the steps offline when we go back after this session for the duration of the 3 weeks. So it is one thing to know and understand and learn, but it is entirely another thing to implement it in practice. So what I want to say here is that we want to make sure that for these 3 weeks, we are actually following each of these, you could say, best practices or the techniques that I'm going to share with you, so that you have a real good feel for how good of an improvement you can make from your current levels, right? So we will cover different things in each of these 3 weeks. It is progressively some of the more complicated, I would say, more advanced things. But the first week, which is today, I want to take you over some of the basic concepts about making a significant or a dramatic improvement in our meditation. So we'll have this information sharing or discussion for about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, and then we'll follow it up with a meditation. All right, so let's get to that. So the week 1 focus, as I said, so starting from today till the next 1 week, these are the things that we want to focus on. So I'll go over them one by one. The first thing is the commitment. So we know that if we have got to make a significant improvement in anything. Now let's keep meditation aside for a moment. Even if it is anything, if let's say it's some sport, let's say it's some new skill we are trying to learn, or just a huge improvement and a sudden positive change in anything, we all know that it requires, the most important thing is commit to it, right? And that is in fact not unique to meditation, but I have to mention that. And the commitment as far as meditation is concerned is a little bit different, in that we have to reinforce the commitment to, you could say, two entities from a spiritual standpoint. We have to make a commitment to our own inner self and spirit, right? To ourselves. So this is quite a popular concept. We say, believe in yourself, invest in yourself, those kinds of things. But that yourself over there, in the traditional world and the traditional definition, is not the spiritual inner self, or at least most people do not know what the spiritual inner self is. In Sahaj, though, we know that through this practice, we have a clear recognition and experience of the innermost self of who we are, which is we are the spirit which resides in our heart. That's our ultimate identity. And that's what we use. That entity, that spirit, is the one that we use for a connection to the all-pervading power during our meditation. So it is that significant. It's not just saying, oh, it's my inner self, something abstract, something probably, that you imagine or you feel psychologically, or none of that stuff. It is very real. So coming back to the commitment part, we have to make a commitment to our inner spiritual self with complete focus. That's the first thing. The second thing is the commitment has to be made to this great all-pervading power and energy in this universe, right? The connection of the two is what creates that state of meditation. So when we say commitment here, the spiritual commitment is very different from a cognitive or a mental commitment, right? It's not mentally or through your mind saying that I'm going to do this, or I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to make a mental note. It is not that at all. It is that does help, because we have to say stay mentally sharp and all that. Certainly it does not hurt to have a mental note or a mental commitment that we are doing this 3 week process, and we are doing something special. But more important today, and we will go through that in our meditation as well, is that we need to realign ourselves and our focus to have a strong commitment to our inner spirit, our own inner self, and to this all-pervading power, that I want to improve. That whole hunger and the desire has to be there, that something is not right with my life, or something feels pretty ordinary. Even the meditation and my pursuit of spirituality, it's a good thing, and we are all doing it, but it still feels pretty normal, or you could say ordinary, right? And we want to rise to the next higher level. We want to break through into achieving a powerful experience, into doing something that will help us get to the next level. So it does require that commitment, and that commitment is going to help us keep track, just as a 3 week experiment, as a scientist would, and say, okay, this was how I was when I started this 3 week exercise. I'm going through each step of what's being recommended. I'm trying it out patiently and consistently, and I'm watching the results, and I'm seeing if in any aspect, in any way, I'm seeing a significant improvement or not. That is what we want to go through, when we make that particular commitment. So that is the first part. So when we follow up in our meditation a little later in this session, I will go over how you can make that commitment spiritually. We do it through affirmations and on specific chakras, but that's something that you should do in your daily meditation. Reinforce that commitment. Tell yourself that after all, you have nothing to lose. It's just a 3 week process. It has to be different from all the things that we have been doing. Our style of meditation, the time we spend, just it has to be above the ordinary. It cannot be the same stuff. It cannot be that we attend this session, we get all the knowledge, and then we forget it, and then we move along, right? We have done that too long already. I have done that myself. In fact, the whole point, these 3 weeks, I'm actually going to be doing every single part of the step, and I'm going to come back and tell you and share with you what my own experience is. And if I was in fact able to take myself to at least a little bit improved, 5-10%, that is even fine, right? I'm going to do that all along these 3 weeks, right? So that's the commitment part. I'll move on to the next one, right? So let's look at how or what exactly will improve and give us a deeper, much deeper experience. So that's why I have used two adjectives over there. One is mediocre and the other one is tepid, which is pretty ordinary, soft, mild kind of an experience when we do our meditation. So first, let's understand the difference from an experience standpoint as to what could constitute a difference from a mediocre quality meditation to what could be a deep meditation, right? So we have to understand, or at least know theoretically, what the difference is, so that we are able to move in that direction and then see whether we are feeling it or not. So ordinary meditation or mediocre meditation means that we are simply spending the time, right? Which is good. No question about that. Any meditation is good than no meditation at all, right? But when we sit down, mostly we are just spending the time. It's like we spend 15-20 minutes. There are some good things. We feel patient. It helps us during the day. And we are a whole lot better off than if we weren't doing any meditation at all, which is fine. But there are a few things which can make a difference. The difference between an ordinary mediocre meditation and a great meditation, right? The first is the whole quality of that attention that we have, and the experience of what we call as thoughtless awareness. Did you have a lot of thoughts while you were even sitting and meditating? Were you thinking about something? Were constantly thoughts from the past and future coming, right? The average meditation has some bouts of time let's say we meditate for about 15 minutes, right, in a session. I'd say about a minute or two of thoughtless awareness, or even less. And then the next thought comes along. And that's how it really typically happens. That's the average meditation. A good meditation, a really good meditation is out of the 15 minutes, maybe 10, 12 minutes, you have deep silence and that thoughtless awareness. Not continuously, but for the most part. The odd occasional thought will come in and disturb you, but then you're enjoying the meditation and you're in such a deep state that you will forget that, let that thought go, and then you'll continue on in your meditation. From a point of view of attention and thoughtless awareness, that's the real difference between an ordinary meditation and a high quality meditation, right? So that's one paradigm, one dimension for what is a mediocre versus a great meditation. The second one is the actual experience of vibrations. And for those of you, some of you may not have felt it, or most of you or all of you probably have already experienced vibrations in some form. Vibrations they are real. It's a real ending, nerve ending experience, which is on the tips of our nerves, on our hands, on our fingers. We can actually feel the throbbing or the cool sensation when we are doing the meditation. It is real. It is not something that we imagine. So, in fact, I would say the difference between an average meditation and great meditation for many of us, for some of us, might actually just be even feeling the vibrations consistently. That's because I've heard a lot of people who say, yeah, have you started feeling vibrations? When asked, they say, yeah, it's average. I feel it occasionally. I feel it here and there once in a while, but I don't really feel it consistently, right? That I would say is about average, right? To have a real good meditation, we should be feeling the vibrations strongly. The pulsation, the sensation of vibration should be pretty strong. It should be flowing through, and it's sort of gushing through, and we should feel a cool sort of a breeze on our hands, right? That is a real sensation. It is not something that's made up or anything like that. So the vibrational aspect of it also has to be strong, right? So our goal in measuring the great versus the ordinary experience of meditation is also on the vibrational front. And the third thing I would say is that once you are done with the meditation and the rest of the day for several hours, how we feel when we are going about our normal daily lives, there is a big difference, right? Many things in that particular aspect. First of all, the whole day appears to be a whole lot smoother. We generally don't tend to see problems, and things that cause, you could say, agitation, things that put us under a lot of stress. We don't see negative expressions and reactions of others towards us, a whole lot of things, right? It's like your day is going great, and it can be as smooth as it is, right? So that is clearly also the outcome and the benefit of a high quality meditation. And that is actually our goal, that 6 out of 7 days in a week at least, that our day goes extremely smoothly, we are highly productive, and we have that sense of balance where we are not disturbed, nothing disturbs us, and above everything else, we are feeling happy and satisfied even when we are doing a lot of work, right? That is the real effect of real strong meditation versus average meditation. Whereas I would say average meditation, our day will still be ordinary, right? You will still have the problems, you will feel that irritation coming to you at times, frustration coming, and you may not be able to do all your work, you may still be behind, you'll still be catching up and all that. None of that will be the case if your meditation in that particular day, before you start your day, when you start your day before going to work or something, um, if your meditation has been excellent and very deep, you will find there is almost a happiness and a joy inside all through the day. You're brimming with that joy. You want to go and do more work. You're able to finish things faster. People are nicer to you. You virtually have very few problems, and even if problems come, you're able to solve them pretty quickly, right? So those are three important signs. The one is the during the meditation, the quality of thoughtless awareness. Two is the experience of vibrations, and three is overall post meditation, how you actually feel, right? So now I've set the definition for what's mediocre experience was a deep experience. So now let's see some of the three important aspects that can give that jolt or that push. The first thing is the deeper and longer meditation, right? If we are spending allotting some time and doing more a time-based meditation, which says, okay, I have so much time to spend, let me just sit down, or we are just stopping our meditation after sitting for say 15-20 minutes. That's also good. Okay, as I always keep saying, some meditation is still fine than no meditation at all. But try at least on some days in the next 3 weeks, the as long as it takes meditation, right? Which means that imagine that there were no clock and you had nothing else to do, right? If you just went into the meditation and focused on the outcomes, which is first clearing your head, trying to focus your attention first, and once it settles down, then sit for as long as you are enjoying the meditation, feeling the thoughtless awareness. Don't worry about the time at all, right? In the end, when you come out of the meditation, you may realize it is some X number of minutes or whatever, right? That's okay. But your focus there is to be completely immersed and be absorbed, completely absorbed, but not thinking. When we say absorbed, it is not about your mental process should still be it should not have triggered your thinking process. It should be the thoughtless awareness state, right? And that is really something that you should experiment, and that really works. And the reason that it works, I can tell you out of my experience, whenever I've had limited time, and trust me, nobody's an exception to this. Nobody has unlimited time every day, right? Maybe somebody is retired, has nothing else to do, and by choice they have meditation as their only primary activity. Yes, but very few of us have that luxury, right? So even for me, 6 out of 7 days a week today, I'm constrained by, okay, I have only so much time to spend for meditation, and therefore I have somewhere else to go or something else to do, right? That's not abnormal, that's completely normal, right? So everybody does that. But the reason I tell you that the as long as it takes meditation is important, is that our inner subtle energy system takes its own time. And when I say subtle energy system, the most important component of that is the Kundalini energy, right? Now, exactly what is the Kundalini energy doing, right? When we are sitting for meditation, we know that we raise our Kundalini energy and we prepare ourselves for meditation, and it rises, it opens the seventh chakra, and then we meditate and all that. But more than that, what it is trying to do during that time of meditation is it is trying to heal our chakras. In passing through the chakras, each one of them, it is actually trying to cleanse, heal, balance, and it is trying very hard to do that, right? So if we put it, subject it to the constraints of time, then we can never know whether it has succeeded completely. It's like you're not allowing it to do its own job to completely clear you out. By doing the as long as it takes meditation, you are in a way surrendering to your own Kundalini energy and allowing it to do its job and waiting for it to heal you completely. That is the precise difference for why we should try this technique at least some days in a week. Maybe we could try over the weekend when we don't have, don't have to go to work or something like that, right? But definitely do try it. The whole essence of it is that we sit for as long as it takes, surrender to the Kundalini energy, allow it to heal, and then we come out after we feel that yes, at some point, and even that will come to us in our intuition, if we are surrendered, when to come out of meditation, it will also all, I would say, intuitively appear to us. But give it a chance. That is the whole point that I want to make. Give it a chance, this whole as long as it takes deep long meditation, right? So that timing aspect is one thing. The other thing is, I've used the word deep, right? So what does deep mean? To some extent, it means the same three things I spoke about: the quality of thoughtless awareness, the vibrational aspect. Of course, the post meditation experience, we cannot think about it, or we cannot experience it during the meditation. But that vibratory awareness, the quality of our attention. The other thing is the intensity and the focus. That's the second point, right? When I say intensity of meditation and focus, we can make certain cognitive steps or attempts to stay focused, right? We should not think a lot when we are doing our meditation, but it's almost like gently giving ourselves a tap on the wrist, right? Saying, if we are drifting and we find that thoughts are coming, or in certain cases, we find that we are beginning to think now. And the way it works, we all have experiences. We continue to do it every single day, right? We continue to experience this every single day. We'll sit for meditation, for a while it's nice, then something comes, some thought comes. It's either something that's happened in the past recently, or we are thinking about something that we have to do, like after our meditation, or during this today or this week or this month or something, right? And then we have some choices there, right? If our attention is really focused and we are really wanting that deep experience of meditation, we can tell ourselves, hey, snap out of it, let's come back to our meditation, let's not worry about it right now, I'm doing my meditation, right? Or the other option, unfortunately, which most of us might choose, or not even choose, but automatically fall into, is that thought actually begins to drag our attention, right? And it makes us think we are in our thought process even during our meditation process. And then after a while we realize, oh, you know what, I've been thinking instead of doing my meditation. Let's come back and let's reorganize and whatever, right? It's a very typical experience. So the whole intensity and the focus in this attempt that we are doing is to be quick enough to acknowledge and realize that a thought is coming and it is dragging us, or it's beginning to sort of take our attention away. Give yourself a tap on the wrist, not literally, but if you want, you can do that literally too. But snap out of it, come back, right? And this whole, not this, and in fact, it is actually documented in our spiritual text, ancient spiritual text. It's a concept called neti. Neti means na iti, which is not this. And the whole act of getting into that thoughtless awareness is going to is by using this concept of neti, which is not this, not this, not this. So we tell ourselves, if that thought comes, not this, I'm doing my meditation, this is my focus, not this, not this, right? So that intensity and focus is developed using that particular technique. The third thing which can give us a deeper experience is group meditations, such as the ones that you are attending right now. If we have a session, then the power of collective meditation is just much stronger, right? Even just attending a session, and if you're listening to me right now, what I'm forcing is right now for your attention to be on this. So everything in our meditation and our spiritual journey comes down to our attention, right? What is the extent of attention we put on the positive things, the positively stimulating things, the positive, pure, nice, good things, versus those things that are not really essential, not really beneficial, sometimes even getting to negativity and so on, right? So even just putting our attention and that whole collective attention definitely improves the quality of our attention, improves our focus, improves our ability to have a greater and a deeper connection, right? So these three things can significantly improve the difference between a mediocre experience to a deep experience. Again, the first one was that whole timing aspect and focusing on a deep meditation. That's something that we can try out. The second thing you can try is the whole not this concept, or the intensity and focus, keep reminding ourselves. And the third thing is improving and increasing the number of collective meditations. I believe we have at least 4 sessions each week. Even if you're not able to attend somewhere else, a Sahaj meditation or a program, you have the opportunity online to do that at least 3 or 4 times. Why don't we try this out, collective meditation, for the next 3 weeks as one tool, and see. And the goal here is also that if we try more than one of these steps that I'm talking about, the greater the chance, you're increasing the probability. If you follow every single one diligently, then obviously you will get much better. The probability that you will get a significant improvement in a sudden jump is a whole lot higher, but at least more than one, right? So you could try that. So I'm going to move on to the third one, which is give you some of the important powerful techniques which are different from your daily normal meditation. Once again, what's normal meditation? If you are doing meditation once or twice a day, sitting down to do your meditation, and it's fine, it's good, definitely essential, nothing special about it. From that normal schedule of meditation, if you now begin to focus on, say, the use of elements, Right? Simple example is if each of these every day of these 3 upcoming weeks, if you go outside, sit on the lawn, right, and do your meditation, an extra round of meditation, let's call it that. Let's not try to change your original schedule that you have. Let's say we, out of choice, decide that I'm going to do one extra meditation for 10 minutes, right? I'm going to find a time in the day where I go outside for 10 minutes. And thankfully, the weather at this time is still good, unless you're attending from Australia or something, or somewhere where the weather is cold or too hot. Right now, the weather is fairly pleasant. It should not be hard to find 10 minutes in outdoors, right? Try this. 10 extra minutes, sit on the ground, use the earth element, and do your meditation, right? And find another 10 minutes at night during your meditation, use the water element, do the foot soak, right? If you're still more motivated, yes, you can use the fire element as well. That's a particular technique for the left channel only. But I would say it's good. I'm going to be doing that. But if any of you are interested separately, I can share that information over email or something. But that's the use of elements essentially. So normal meditation, maybe most of us probably aren't using the elements. Why don't we try in the next 3 weeks to use the elements? And I can promise you, even if you just use one of these, which is the earth, or maybe two of them will have very pronounced important effect, the earth and the water alone, right? Every day, if you follow this, right, sitting on the ground, on the grass, in your lawn or someplace, even in a park, right, if you don't have a lawn, 10 minutes, focus, close your eyes, keep both your hands for a while, make a strong request to Mother Nature to clear you out, right? Focus on your Muladhara chakra, because that's the one that gets the maximum benefit when you sit on the ground, right? Sit for meditation outside, right? And for about 10 minutes or so. Right? Same thing, try your foot soak without fail every night the next 3 weeks, right? For sure, I can guarantee that your experience, you will definitely get, at least at some day or more than once, you will get that much deeper experience, that great meditation versus a mediocre meditation. For sure, guarantee, I can tell you that. I think the problem that most of us face is actually implementing this, right? It may appear now that there are a whole lot of things, too many things to do, but then that's the commitment that we have to make. If we want dramatic results, then we have to do at least something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, right? For us to be able to give ourselves a chance to have that experience. So that's about the powerful techniques. There are many more powerful techniques, such as mantras and so on, but I don't even want to go there right now. Let's just try the simple low-hanging fruit, if I can call it that, and see if we are able to consistently do it as an experiment in the next 3 weeks and see what the results are, right? Now, next one after that is the other two are more overarching and they're not related to meditation. So the one was about simplification and decluttering our attention. So let's take this chance. Let's take this opportunity for the next 3 weeks to review our life in general. Is it too complicated? Is our daily schedule too full? Are we engaging in a whole lot of activities, right? To far beyond what our attention can manage, right? That is a question that each one of us needs to ask ourselves. And I'm very sure that the answer will be yes in most or nearly all of the cases. The reason for that is that we are forced to live in this world where we have a lot of other commitments. And the whole world, the way the world has evolved is, unfortunately, it's a fast-paced world. Too many things to do, too many commitments, too many people to interact with, so many different roles that we have to play and so on. Right? But we have to fight against that. Why should we fight? Because we are trying to do something very, very important over here, right? We are trying to get to that point where we can have a big difference in our spiritual experience, right, of meditation. So we have to examine honestly, are we doing just too many things, right, in our given day? Are there at least 3-4 things that we can skip for the next 3-4 weeks, right? Which have a tendency to take away our attention in a big way during the day? Are we really following a life where we are doing a little bit of everything, right? But none of those in a very real deep way, right? We have to introspect, we have to declutter, and then we will begin to see. And that whole freeing up of the attention will also free up the time for some of these other techniques I just mentioned, which is meditation using elements, that extra 10 minutes, that extra foot soak at night, that as long as it takes, right? Where do we find the time? And it's not just the time, it should be quality time. If you're spending the time, the attention should be there. It's not like we should be sitting during the meditation and our attention is somewhere else, right? Or something else is overwhelmingly overpowering our attention, right? That is the whole decluttering concept. So it's a good time. It's almost like asking ourselves, do we have enough of spiritual component enough in our lives, or is our life being dominated by non-spiritual aspects? It can be anything. It can be perfectly something that's essential. It could be our work which we have to do, it could be our family. All those are important. There is no saying here that those are not important. But at some point, if we have to make spiritual progress, we have to limit or at least squeeze some of those other components and make some space for our attention and time to be more spiritual, right? Spent on spiritual things. That is that point. So let's take some introspection here. After this session, go back and see for the next 3 weeks, along with following all of this, are there some things which, and I think we should prioritize by the quality or the value of things in our life, or the activities that we spend time on. Maybe it is watching television, right? Maybe it is some leisure activity which we have been doing, which is not so important. Maybe it is some socializing activity, talking to friends and relatives. Those are all candidates that we can sacrifice just for 3 weeks, right? And say that, look, I'm not available, or I don't want to spend time on that. Instead, by choice, I'm going to take that extra time and decluttered attention, and I'm going to spend it on this. Right? I'm definitely going to do that. And I'm going to consciously make some time for this, shelve a few other things that I've been doing, right? Trust me, it again makes a big difference. So it's almost like a different form of the commitment aspect that I spoke about, right? A real commitment, literal commitment you make, yes, but in a way, overall in your life also, you're committing towards spirituality, and that's extremely important. Now, the last one is again something outside of meditation, which is, if you would like to use this opportunity for the next 3 weeks to introspect and finally come to terms, come face to face with with at least one or two of those things in your life, in your personality, which you do not like. It can be some habits that you've been trying to get rid of, some things that you know about yourself which you don't like but have had difficulty getting over, right? I'm not talking about something as serious as, say, addiction or something like that, but all of us have some undesirable things, right? We are bad somewhere, we are irregular somewhere. It could be as simple as being, disorganized and, not cleanliness, or, living in a very cluttered environment or something. Or maybe it is some habit you want to get rid of. I don't know. Pick one or two, right? And you want to focus on that and say, in the next 3 weeks, can I use the power of this whole transformative aspect? And along with everything else that I'm doing, do I have the power in me to move past these habits, get rid of them, right? Or can I show a huge improvement in this? I was not doing this positive thing before. I've always wanted to do this in my life. This is outside of meditation. This is not your meditation, right? Um, but you've always wanted to do, but you've never found the time or the willingness, or you've been struggling. Focus on those one or two things. Ideally, I would say it's a bad habit that you want to get rid of, right? Pick one or two and try to have your attention on it during these 3 weeks. And the reason I want to do that is meditation is connected to our lives and it is part of our lifestyle. We cannot have meditation as a separate component of our lives and then go about leading our lives, doing what everything else that we do. It doesn't work that way. The meditation has to seep into and it has to penetrate into our overall life. And the test here, the experiment here is that is my meditation and my spiritual side strong enough that it can percolate into my other aspects of my life and give me the power, right? Can it drive, give me the power to adjust and improve and correct my life in some of the other aspects the way I want it? That is the test you're trying to solve. And trust me, if you pass that test, it's a huge weapon that we have, because then we develop the ability to use our spiritual side, make it stronger, right? And get rid of so many things. We can achieve many things in our lives just by having that power. And trust me, that power is within us. We just have to tap into us. There is nothing magical, miraculous that we are achieving over here. The Kundalini is extremely powerful, right? As I've said in many sessions before, the number of strands. So the Kundalini energy is actually made up of, you could say, millions of threads or strands, right? And the actual number is supposed to be 21 raised to the power 108, right? That's the total number of strands. And in our self-realization process, in our practice of meditation today, only 2 or 3 or a handful of strands actually rise through the central column. So you can imagine the minuscule, negligible percentage of the power of the Kundalini energy that we are actually using. And even with that, we are able to feel quite a bit of difference and an advantage in our lives through the meditation. What would happen if a significantly higher number of strands, or many more strands of the Kundalini energy were activated, right? That is the amount of power that we have. It's almost, you could say, infinite amount of power. But how do we tap into it, right? That is a test over here. So we have the power. Can we now focus and try to use that spiritual power for good causes in our lives, and on for the lives of people around us in our community and this world? Can we do that test? It's great to have that weapon and to know how we should make it work, right? Which is why I put that also in the first week agenda. So in summary, those are the things that we want to focus on. So the first week is more of foundation, right? How do we approach this? So the commitment is clear. The fact that you've attended this session itself is a commitment that you're making, right? You want to see some improvement and you want to take this seriously. And just in case, some of you are regular attendees who just happen to attend many of our sessions, and it was not really your goal to go through this exercise, I can tell you that even if you don't have the time, even if your next 3 weeks looks really busy, you can defeat the constraints of time. It's all in our commitment and in our resolution. With an extremely busy next upcoming 3 weeks, we have no need to think that, hey, I'm going to be busy, some work is coming up, or I'm traveling somewhere. You can do this amidst everything else, trust me, right? You don't need to shelve all your other activities and none of that stuff, other than the aspect I said about some of the leisure activities and creating time. This is a concept that works from deep within. It's a spiritual commitment, spiritual energy, right? So even if your actual time is, your calendar is kind of full, your schedule is full, trust me, if you have the motivation and the seeking from inside, you will still be able to achieve that transformative experience, right? So the week 1 is about making that commitment, trying those list of things, and preparing ourselves so that we can go through this 3-week journey. And similarly, for the next week and the week after, I will share 4 or 5 things that we can go over. What's the most important thing that we need to do is to stick to this, right? Again, I'm reiterating this. This will have maximum impact and benefit if we are able to follow many of these or all of these, right? Or at least give it a try. This very long that we all have stayed, including myself, I'm completely including myself over here. That whole complacency has been there, just keep on doing the same stuff and all that, right? How do we get out of that rut, right? That same thing or that same average kind of thing, and how do we go to a superlative experience, right? Only we have to do something, right? So let's start with this for the next 1 week, and then we will add on a few more things in week 2 and week 3. Now we will move to our meditation, and I would also urge you that after this session is over, take some time in your next meditation session. It might be tonight or it might be tomorrow morning. Reinforce these 4 or 5 things, right? Remind yourself that you want to go through these 3 weeks. and you want to go through this experiment where you want to see that, can I on my own, do I have the tools, do I have the methods, do I have the ability to achieve that sudden jump, sudden improvement and dramatic improvement. And if you learn and if you experiment and you are successful even to a small extent, it will give you a whole lot of confidence to be able to do it on your own many, many times in future. And that really is the goal of these 3 sessions. That's the only goal that I have. I frequently challenge myself to do this every once in a while. And the way it goes with me is, I will try to come out of it, go to a higher level, and then things start coming, and then gradually over some years or some months, we go through these phases where it comes back again and starts getting worse. Then I give it another boost, right? So I regularly go through these. I thought it might be worthwhile to share this whole experience and this journey. It might be useful for people, to just to experiment and see whether it really works and how powerful it can be. All right, with that said, let's get to the meditation now. So as I said, the special things in our meditation today will be the commitment part of it, and how we make that commitment. And the rest of it is going to be fairly standard, the similar process of meditation that we do normally. All right. So let's get started with our meditation. Let's close our eyes first. And after a few moments, let's raise our Kundalini energy now as a beginning for this phase where we are going to try to make a wholehearted attempt to improve the quality of our meditation for the next 3 weeks. Let's try to make a commitment now, a spiritual commitment. So we will say some affirmations that will help us establish this commitment. So the first affirmation we will say is placing our right hand on our heart and say the affirmation, I am the spirit. I have been given this opportunity. The meaning of this affirmation is that what we should feel is that I have been given this opportunity in this lifetime to realize my spirit. So I'm going to do everything to be on that journey, to go deeper in that discovery of my inner self and spirit, to become the spirit and realize its full potential. And we all want to be spiritual. So the affirmation and the commitment is that we should be the spirit and focus on becoming the spirit. So let's say the affirmation a few more times. I am the spirit. Now, We bring our right hand back on our laps, keep both our hands on our laps, fingers stretched out. The second commitment is almost a strong ask or a request to the power that resides in the Muladhara chakra. Now, that power gives us the strength, the power, the fortitude to overcome all obstacles in our lives. So, the most important reason why we are not able to make an improvement in our lives, in our spiritual lives, is because of the obstacles. So now we express our commitment and a very sincere request to the power in this Muladhara chakra to please remove all obstacles in our spiritual journey. With our attention on the Muladhara chakra, please remove all obstacles in my spiritual path or spiritual journey. Now, the third commitment that we will make is using the power of our desire or the power of the left channel, left energy channel in our subtle energy system. So here we make a commitment for of pure desire that should be in our hearts. And the purest form of desire is to want spiritual improvement. So let's make a commitment. Please give me pure desire, or I will establish my pure desire for spiritual improvement. When we desire, the power in our left energy channel also begins to work for us in the same direction, which is in the direction of our self improvement. And then the last form of commitment is at the level of the Sahasrara chakra. So let's take our right hand, place it on the crown of the head. This is the most important chakra, the gateway for the connection that we have, our inner self has, for achieving the connection to the all-pervading power. This chakra needs to be open, and we need to do everything to nurture that connection, to make sure we have a strong connection for self-improvement. So here we'll say the affirmation, please establish my spiritual connection, or please establish my self-realization. Now we can move our hands back on our laps, and now try to focus Try to have that intensity that we spoke about, have our attention sharp, try the concept of not this, which is be alert to any thoughts coming and just move away from the thoughts, move our attention away from the thoughts. Continue to remain in that state of meditation for a while. All right, so let's slowly open our eyes now. We'll conclude the meditation. Once again, with a strong resolve to the divine that we will commit, we will do everything during the next 3 weeks to reach a better spiritual state. And then we will raise our Kundalini energy now to conclude the meditation. All right. So, concluding thoughts from me. I'm just going to share quickly what I will be doing for the next 3 weeks. For sure, I'm going to be using the elements, and every single day, I'm going to be doing at least the earth element and the foot soak, and on most days, also using the fire element. So, that's one thing I'm going to do. I have one thing on my list which I'm going to use for the bad things or the habits that I want to get rid of. So I have one thing listed over there too, and I'm going to focus on the intensity, the focus during the meditation. So that's my list. I encourage you to have your own list and get started and give it your best shot. And I'll see you again next week. I'll be happy if some of you can share if you want offline over email or on this chat next week if you're actually beginning to see some improvements in this journey. And I hope to see you all next week again for the next session. Thanks for taking the time. I'll see you next week.